The Christian in Complete Armour by William Gurnall. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 18. Chapter 17. Some consolatory considerations for the Christian dejected, overmuch for wandering thoughts and prayer. The affliction of thy spirit for them speaks more comfort to thee than their presence discomfort to thee. That thou art annoyed with such troublesome guests is no more than the best of saints have found. Wherefore did David pray that God would unite his heart to fear his name, but that he found it gadding. What meant Paul by his complaint? When I would do good, evil is present with me. But that he had not yet got the full mastery of his unruly thoughts? Thou seest it is no new disease thou art troubled with, but such as is common, not only to the sons of men, but the children of God. But their being afflicted by them speaks one of these two things, and both of them have comfort in their mouth for thee. It proves either that they are Satan's injections, and not the birth of thine own heart, or, if they proceed from thy own heart, yet the Spirit of God is the indweller, and these are but intruders. First, the moan that maketh for being yoked to such company is a sigh. They are rather sent in by Satan than called in by thee, his injectuous, rather than the suggestions of thy own heart. Our own thoughts commonly are more pleasurable to us. The mother does not more love the fruit of her own body than we the produce of our minds. Hence our own ways, words, and thoughts are called our pleasure, Isaiah chapter 58, verse 13. And therefore, possibly, they may be shot from Satan's bow, thy heart being so affrighted at them and wounded for them. Or if they prove the offspring of thine own mind, yet thy afflicted soul shows that the Spirit and the grace of God is the indweller, and these but intruders and involuntary emotions, such as in thy deliberate thoughts thou abhorrest, were they of thy own house and family, thou wouldest not show this zeal to shut the door upon them, or shriek out when they come in upon thee. The wife does not cry out when her husband or children come into the room, but thieves, from whom she looks for nothing but cruelty. It seems that they are neither of thine acquaintance, nor art thou fond of thy company. Be not therefore over troubled, for Satan, if he can but disquiet thy mind with false fears, hath one part of his errand done, for which he sends them. These wicked thoughts are upon no other terms with thee than holy thoughts are in the wicked, as those profit not, because not entertained so, for the same reason they shall not hurt thee. Secondly, know these are the necessary infirmities of thy imperfect state, and so long as thou art faithful to resist and mourn for them, they rather move God's pity to thee than wrath against thee. It is one thing for a child employed by his father willingly or negligently to spoil the work he sets him about, and another when through natural weakness he fails in the exact doing of it. Should a master bid his servant give him a cup of wine, and he willingly throw his cup and wine on the ground, he might expect his master's just displeasure. But if through some unsteadiness he should, notwithstanding all his care, spill some of it in the bringing, an ingenious master will rather pity him for the accident than be angry for the wine that is lost. And did God ever give his servants occasion to think him a hard master? Hath he not promised that he will spare us, as a father his child that serves him? From whence come all the apologies which he makes for his people's failings, if not from his merciful heart, interpreting them to proceed rather from their want of skill than will or desire? Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? Zechariah 3:2. It is Christ's answer in the behalf of Joshua, whom Satan accuses for his filthy garments. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Matthew 26:41. Was his favorable glass for his disciples' drowsiness in prayer. Thirdly, believers' prayers pass a refining before they come into God's hands. Did he indeed read them with their impertinencies and take our blotted copy out of our hand, we could not fear too much, but they come under the corrector's hand. Our Lord Jesus hath the inspection of them who sets right all our broken requests and misplaced petitions. He washes out our blots with his blood. Through his meditation, all this is coarse and heterogeneous, and our prayers is separated from the pure. What is of his own Spirit's breathing he presents, and what of our fleshly part added he hides, so that it should not prejudice us or our prayers. This was the sweet gospel truth, wrapped up in the priest's hearing, bearing the sins of the holy offerings. Exodus 28:36. Fourthly, through the presence of these be a great affliction to thee, yet God will make them of singular use. Number 1, to humble thee and take all glory from thee, that thou shalt not pride thyself in thy other assistances, which thou wouldest be prone to do if thy prayer had not this lame foot to humble thee. Number 2, to keep thee wakeful and circumspect in thy Christian course. By thy disturbancy from these thou seest the war is not yet done. The Canaanite is yet in the land, though not master of the field, yet skulking in his holes, out of which he comes like an adder in the path, that by the sudden surprises nipping at thy heel he may make thee fall backward, and so steal a victory unawares of thee, whom he despairs to overcome in a pitted battle by sins more deliberate. And truly, if he dare be so bold as to set upon thee when in communion with God, so nigh thy rock and castle, doth it not behoove thee to look about that he gets no greater advantage of thee when thou art at a further distance from him in thy worldly employments? Number 3, God will make thee by these more merciful to and less censorious of thy brethren in greater failings. Fifthly, in thy faithful conflict with them, thou mayest promise thyself at last victory over them, but expect this not to be done at once, nor hastily delivered into thy hands, as God said of Israel's enemies. Therefore maintain the fight, faint not at their stubborn resistance, pray and mourn, that thou canst pray no better, mourn and fight again, fight and believe them down, though sometimes they get thee under their feet. God made a promise to Noah after the flood, in which he gave him a sovereignty over the creatures. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth. Genesis 9:2. But we see many beasts are fierce, savage, and cruel to mankind. Yet thus it is fulfilled. None are so fierce and unruly. By man's act and industry they have been, and still are, taken and tamed, as the apostle hath. James 3:7. Thus God hath given his Spirit by promise the sovereignty over sin and Satan. He will subdue both under your feet. The dread of the saints shall fall on the proudest devil, and his foot shall be set on the neck of his fiercest lust. Yet this will cost hot work before the one or other is effective. End of chapter 17.